Hi, Steve. How is Steph doing, and how was he when he came in this morning?
He's fine. Yeah, he was a little shaken up, like anybody would be getting into a car accident, but thankfully nobody was hurt. Steph's doing fine. I think he has another car that he can drive too. So he's going to be okay. Or he could borrow one. Somebody else.
Non-car related, how's Draymond and Alfonso doing? What's the next step for them as far as what they need to do?
They're both coming along. They're both on the bike today doing a lot of conditioning stuff, and on the floor after that getting jump shots up. So both doing well. Steph's doing well. I would say that Draymond and Zoe are kind of day to day, and then I think we said we'd have an update on Steph's progress tomorrow. But none of them will play tonight, obviously.
Steph's been ruled out tomorrow too, right?
What's that?
Steph's already been ruled out.
Yeah, he's out.
Coach, it isn't often that we see the Warriors maybe in this spot coming into a game like tonight, and I'm referring to losing 4 straight. How do you keep the group together? How do you keep you guys tight in a situation like this? Because over the past few years when you've been in charge of this team, I don't know that we've seen it like this.
Yeah, it's just staying together. I mean, that's it's not anything that is new to people who've been around the NBA. It may be relatively new to our team over the last few years, but players involved, they've all been through this stuff. The vets, I should say. Maybe not the young guys who've only been here a couple of years, but this is part of it. You get banged up, you get into a little bit of a funk. Ball doesn't go in the basket, you lose some games, so got to fight your way out of it. Simple as that.
Anything else?
Steve, as obvious as the fact that you guys missed Steph and Draymond, the fact that there's younger players this year as opposed to some of the vets last year, what are some of the additional challenges that come along with that during the period like this?
Well, I mean, if you have veteran guys who've been through it, you're probably more likely to respond. I think the bigger issue really is, when you bring up last year, we had guys who we ran the offense through, like a David West, for example, where it was a totally different dynamic. So, the problem when you're grooming young guys and then you get injuries, it's a huge change in their responsibility to go from a 5th starter playing next to 4 All-Stars to, all right, now you got to move up the ladder, a couple slots when you're not used to being a scorer. You have to take on more responsibility that maybe you're not quite ready for. So, when you get these kinds of injuries, it affects the team at every level. But for the young guys, it's tougher than for the vets. So, if nothing else, it's great experience for them to have to go through, and they'll feel a lot more comfortable when we do get healthy. But got to go through it all.
Coach, the Blazers backcourt of Lillard and McCollum, they're a handful even when you're at full strength. So being a little shorthanded and without Draymond out there, how do you deal with that backcourt? What's kind of the message to the guys about stopping, at least containing them?
Well, we've seen Damian and CJ quite a bit over the years, and so we have our scheme that we like to play against them, and not that it's going to matter a whole lot if they get super hot, but we know, we'll present our plan and try to keep them from getting the easy stuff, try to send them to areas where maybe they're a little less comfortable, and try to challenge every shot without fouling. And at some point, you gotta just get stops. I mean, we've been very poor defensively during this stretch, and we've got to put up a better stand defensively. And tonight will be a big challenge because, as you said, they have great backcourt.
Steve, in your mind, do you have some guys on this roster who can show a little bit more playmaking ability than maybe they've been able to show at this point in their career and kind of help take that burden off of KD a little bit?
Anybody in particular you're talking about?
Like Quinn Cook, Damian Lee, like those types of guys?
Yeah, I think they're doing great. I think Quinn and Damian have really been a bright spot during this stretch. So I think they're doing everything they can. I think they're playing their roles well. But as far as playmaking at this level and talking about creating offense, I don't look at it that way. I think both guys are part of the function of the offense. They both shoot the ball really well, which gives us spacing. They're both smart, so they help. But they're not the kind of players that you run your offense through at the NBA level. But it doesn't mean they're not really good players.
After the game in Houston, a lot of the guys seem to think that was kind of a one-off. That bad game, we'll bounce back tomorrow, the next day. It almost sounded like maybe a little bit of denial. But now that you've gone through this, and I think the enormity of the task is really visible, do you sense that set in now, that this is not just we'll be fine tomorrow, that this is really much tougher than that?
Maybe they said 4 off and not 1 off. That game did feel like an aberration, and it still does compared to the last 3. I thought there were some times in the last 3 games we did some good things, and very easily could have won the games in Dallas and San Antonio, but we didn't, and that's the way it goes. So you got to keep fighting and adapt to your circumstances and keep going, and that's what we're going to do tonight.
Is there any update kind of on DeMarcus? I mean, we haven't got one from you in a while, as far as I know. He was scrimmaging, doing some of that, but is he advancing at all?
I don't have any update in terms of when he might play. He's continuing to build strength in his rehab program with Rick. I talked to Rick today about it, and that has to go hand in hand with the conditioning. And conditioning needs to come with more court time, more scrimmage time. We have so many games bunched up right now that we haven't had a chance to really get DeMarcus into a scrimmage situation. So that'll be coming, and we'll have an update for you probably next week.
Steve, Portland's changed its bench a little bit from past seasons. Can you speak to a little bit to the challenge that the bench might present to you guys?
Not really, to be honest with you. And I say that because we've seen this team many times, and they've made a couple of adjustments, but they've always had really good players coming off the bench. I would say Lehman has replaced Pat, off the bench, Connaughton for that wing shooter role, but it's
I was thinking more of the 2 guards, with Curry and Stauskas there now. Okay. They have more shooting than they have.
They've added more shooting, and Zach Collins is stepping out and shooting the ball well. So like a lot of teams, Portland has added shooting across the board. So, but it's not anything that is out of the ordinary. It's we prepare for the game same way we prepare for every game. You go in, you've got your scouting report, you talk about matchups, you got to know personnel, and they have a few more guys who can shoot, so we got to be aware of that.
Steve, Kevin mentioned after the last game that the group has been having a hard time finding the rim, getting to the basket. From your perspective, what's been the problems getting to the basket, and what can be done to change that? We
have to execute better. When you don't set good screens and make good sharp cuts, and you're not getting penetration to the rim. If you don't get penetration, then you're taking contested shots all game. So we got to get better execution, which will lead to more open looks, and that's pretty much the gist of it for me. Thank you.
Is that it? Frank, thank you. Tim